how's this happening? And it's all of these separate stories. Right? Does everyone get that? Right? All of these separate stories are actually individuated stories, first person. These are all first person. You know, check, this is gorgeous. This is realization. They're all first person. Each of these stories has independent integrity. In each one of these stories, we can say, for with you is the source of light. In your light, we see light. Each of these stories is an infinite unique self, right? I don't know, is my friend, I'm gonna check, is my friend Helma here? Helma, are you here? I don't know if Helma's here. Shati, I don't know if you know if Helma's here. So I'm gonna ask, Helma, are you here? I don't know if Helma's here, my dear friend from Holland, but I wanna share with you something that Helma and I were talking about the other day. We were studying, okay? I just wanna share with you something. And Helma, this is for you. So Helma's just moved into, and I of course not share anything that's confidential. This is, you know, public information. Helma just moved into a new apartment, which is fantastic, near Utrecht, right, and Holland. So we were talking the other day in a context that we call Holy of Holies, right? One-on-one deep study. Helma and I have been studying together for probably almost a decade. And we were talking about how to decorate the apartment because, you know, we don't just do Aramaic text, we got to decorate apartments. And Helma was having, like I do, like we all do, like a little sad moment. So I said, you know, being, you know, somewhat flip, F-L-I-P, meaning somewhat light, somewhat funny. I mean, it might not have been that funny, but it was my best attempt. But I meant it seriously. I said, you know, Helma, you know, reality loves you so much that reality actually sends you a rabbi, right? A rabbi who's now a post rabbi, or now a rabbi, priest, you know, imam, hanging out, friend, spiritual friend, right? And that person's me, right? To actually meet with you every month for the last decade, to kind of do what we can to kind of be together and to love together and to study together and to find our way together. I said, so, I mean, actually, not this, you're not just getting taken care of, you're getting totally taken care of. And as a matter of fact, reality loves you so much that I was actually living, you know, in the Middle East on a particular life trajectory, right? And reality shifted my whole life trajectory. Everyone with me, right? Reality shifted my whole life trajectory, and my entire biography changed in order for me to be able to, you know, go to Salt Lake City for a while with my dear friends, Michael Zimmerman and Diane Hamilton, who's a Zen teacher, and lived there for a couple of years. And then Diane, right, was friends with this guy, Ted, right, who was living in a place called Van Woudi, right, in Holland. And Ted was partnered with this woman, Shahat, right? And so I then came, are we watching this, everybody? Then I just came, right, to the festival, right, to the first, not the festival, to the first event. There was no festival. We did in 2010. And I remember when Diane and I were sitting in a room, and I remember when Shatu walked in late, right, you know, to kind of say hi to everybody, right? And I met Helma. And now, wow, right? So I just want you to notice this. It's so wild and beautiful, because this is the way the intimate universe works. And the first person is completely integrated in the second person. So in other words, let's stay close. So all of reality is a love story. And first person means that every person's unique story matters infinitely, right? It matters infinitely, incandescently, right? You know, unimaginably, right? And any other adjective you can think of, throw in the chat box, because I'm out of adjectives. So anyone have any more adjectives in the chat box for how much this matters? Give me some adjectives. Totally, give me a totally. What else do we got? Urgently, wildly, help me out, Right, there we go. Exponentially, thank you. Anybody else? We need a couple more adjectives. So freaking much. There we go. We got chat box, thank you. When I'm out of a sentence, we're gonna have to do this together. And by the way, parentheses for a second, everybody. The chat box matters. You know, when I do dialogues with my friend Andrew Cohen, you know, and Andrew, I love Andrew. He doesn't like people in the chat box. He's trying to concentrate, which I totally honor. That's completely great. That's great. So mad bless that. But here, we love the chat box, okay? So everybody's in together. We're doing this together. We're a Unique Self Symphony. We're here together, right? This is not, right? There's no sage on the stage here, right? We're in this together, okay? So if I'm missing a word, fill it in, okay? Fill it in. Okay, so here we go. Just watch this. This is so crazy beautiful. So Helma has Helma's personal story and trajectory, right? And that matters so much that God's going to take Mark out of Israel to make sure to talk to Helma once a month. But in order for that to happen, Mark has his personal story, his trajectory. And this dude, Ted, who was born to an industrialist family, in Holland, has got his story, right? And his trajectory. You begin to get it? And then my friend Diane Musho Hamilton, who's the daughter of a lapsed Mormon, right, who's a Zen teacher, right? She's got her trajectory. And Mike Zimmerman, who's the Chief Justice of Utah, his trajectory, right? And then Shahat Kortan, right, kind of her trajectory. And all of those stories have their own independent, we're back in 2010 now, right? We're back in 2010, right? And that's how we come together, right? Because actually, right? Actually, and then there's a man named Willem Reich. I'm just going to kind of just expand the story just for fun. And Willem Reich, has a bunch of students, right? And one of his students starts something called core energetics, right? Perikos is his name. And then Perikos has another student named Stuart, who becomes the head of the Core Energetics Institute. And Stuart and Perikos are the mentors of a woman named, Dr. Christina Kincaid. And then Dr. Kincaid comes up with Stuart for a weekend that we're doing at, Shalom Mountain, which is actually not a Jewish place, but it's called Shalom Mountain, where I've started this wisdom school. And then right, so there, right, and all of a sudden how's this happening? And it's all of these separate stories. Right? Does everyone get that? Right, all of these separate stories are actually individuated stories, first person. These are all first person. Check, this is gorgeous. This is realization. They're all first person. Each of these stories has independent integrity. In each one of these stories, we can say, for with you is the source of light. In your light, we see light. Each of these stories is an infinite unique self, right? There's Christina Amelin. There she is, right? Her brother's just been killed in a car accident, right? That's her brother's story. But then that story ripples into her heart and soul. And then it just transfigures her in a certain way that allows her to actually find her way in a way that she might never have done. That doesn't explain the accident. It's just what's true. And she finds her way. And all of a sudden, there she is in Madison, Wisconsin, being this strange attractor of joy and light, right? And David, right? And for each of us, right? So we each have our independent stories. We're each first person, but here's second person. All of our stories are part of this larger love story in which we are all perfect subplots, perfect subplot lines, perfect co-stars in each other's drama and each other's story. In other words, if you connect, just imagine it through this unique self symphony. Literally, we are all co-stars in each other's story. We're all part of the actual thread of each other's story. And so while the stories seem to be independent, they're not. They're actually threaded together, right? And the notion that I'm just living my story, which I go to my therapist and I talk about, and I get in these recursive loops, in which I talk about how I've been victimized again and again and again and again, because I actually don't experience the love intelligence moving through my story, and how my story is actually inter-included and interdigitated literally with all those other stories. That's second person. No story stands alone, right? No story stands alone. There's no person who's a stranger living their own story by themselves. Terry Nelson's story is part of Mark's story, right? Lady Jacqueline's story, right, is part of Terry's story. Jamie's story is part of Sharmila's story, right? Does everyone begin to see, right? And it's, in other words, divinity is the great Tailor of Eros. Right? Divinity is the great Tailor of Eros, weaving together the strands, and we are strands. We are irreducibly unique strands. We're strands with infinite dignity. But we are strands in this larger weave, right? And we come together in magnificence when we realize this truth. There's no such thing as Ukraine. Putin was right about that, but there's also no such thing as Russia, right? And as the United States, yes, the strands matter. The strand of Ukraine matters and the strand of Russia matters, but actually what unites us is so much greater than that which divides us. We are weaves in this gorgeous tapestry of Eros, right? Of infinite, outrageous love that actually binds us together. We're one heart, we're one love. No story stands alone, second person. And that's what second person is. Second person is this realization that we're intimate together.